Please subscribe to my channel and like my video. Thank you for your support. Jessica and Ethan, who had been renting a small apartment in a small town for a long time, are excited to move into a new house. The couple is thrilled to finally be able to buy their own home. The house's large garden, historical structure, and peaceful appearance have enchanted them. However, before moving in, they decide to meet their neighbors, and during this introduction, they notice some strange behavior. When Jessica asks the neighbors questions about the house, she realizes that everyone changes the subject. "What do you know about the history of this house?" she asks, noticing an immediate unease on the neighbors' faces. "It's a beautiful house, just. We prefer not to talk about certain things," one of the neighbors mutters. Jessica doesn't pay much attention to this at first, but shares her unease with Ethan during their conversation. "Jessica, this house is just as I imagined, Ethan. The garden is so beautiful. Children could run around here." "Ethan, yes, darling. We finally have our own home. I can't believe it. It was worth the wait." "Jessica, the neighbors are a bit strange, aren't they? Whenever I ask something about the house, they change the subject." "Ethan, maybe they have bad memories related to this house. What matters is that we finally have our own place." Jessica and Ethan spend their first night in their new home. Everything seems perfect. However, at midnight, Jessica hears faint footsteps in the attic. When she tells Ethan, he dismisses it as normal sounds in an old house. But when Ethan returns from work and feels the cold draft and the eerie silence in the house, he starts to feel uneasy. "Jessica, I woke up at midnight and it felt like someone was walking upstairs. It was so strange, Ethan. These things are normal in old houses, Jess. The house might be settling, or it could be the old wooden roof creaking." "Jessica, you might be right, but it wasn't just a sound I felt. I felt like someone was up there." "Ethan, if it will make you feel better, we can go up and check everything tonight." Jessica notices old and faded symbols on the walls of the house. She initially dismisses them as mere decorations, but the symbols seem oddly familiar to her. Meanwhile, on his way home from work, Ethan's car radio suddenly malfunctions, and he hears strange whispers on a distorted frequency. These whispers unsettle Ethan, making him realize that the oddities in the house might be more than just coincidences. "Jessica, Ethan, have you seen these symbols on the walls? They seem to mean something, but I can't figure out what." "Ethan, maybe it's just some old decoration from the house's past. I'm sure you didn't miss anything." "Jessica, no, this feels different. It might be a trace from the previous owners. We should look into it, Ethan. Something happened to me today on the way home." The radio suddenly went static, and it was like someone was whispering. "I love this house, but strange things are starting to happen." Jessica tries to learn more about the previous owners of the house and discovers that a man named Anton, who practiced satanic rituals, once lived there. That same night, while Ethan is alone in the house, he senses shadows moving and feels a dark presence watching him. The shadows seem to be approaching him, sending a deep fear into Ethan's heart. "Jessica, Ethan, the previous owner of the house, was a man named Anton. He was into satanic worship and performed rituals here. It really bothers me, Ethan. These are just old stories, Jess. People come up with all sorts of legends. It doesn't concern us, Jessica. But what about the shadows you saw last night? Something is wrong in this house, Ethan. I can feel it. Ethan, the shadows. Yes, but maybe it was just a trick of the light. As you said, this place might be strange." Jessica continues to have the same nightmare every night, and her nightmares become increasingly intense. Ethan can no longer ignore the strange occurrences in the house and starts to take Jessica's concerns seriously. As Ethan begins to experience nightmares himself, both of them realize that the house is affecting them. Jessica, I keep having the same nightmare every night, Ethan. I'm in the basement where the previous owner did his rituals, and I can't escape, Ethan. Why didn't you tell me this before? This is serious, Jessica, I didn't want to worry you because I thought maybe it was all in my head. But this house is slowly taking over us, Ethan. I've started having dreams too. The shadows were chasing me, and I couldn't get away. There's definitely something wrong with this house. Ethan cannot get the night he found Jessica in front of the mirror in the basement out of his mind. When they examine the mirror, they find a symbol carved into its back. This symbol is a seal that Anton used in his rituals. Ethan wants to throw the mirror out of the house, but Jessica believes that the mirror might be a portal that traps the spirit in the house, and removing it could be dangerous. They decide to keep the mirror, unaware of how dangerous the decision will be. Ethan, we need to get rid of this mirror, Jess. Every time I look at it, it feels like something is watching me, Jessica. Throwing it away could be dangerous. Maybe this mirror is what's holding the spirit in the house. If we get rid of it, worse things could happen, Ethan. I don't know how much longer we can stay here. This place is getting more terrifying by the day, Jessica. Maybe we can find a solution. But first, we need to uncover the secrets of this house. Jessica and Ethan start looking for ways to escape the house. However, they feel as if the house is watching their every move. Doors lock when Jessica is alone. Windows refuse to open. One night, Ethan hears Jessica's voice, but cannot find her in her room. Jessica suddenly appears in the living room, but she seems to be in a trance, as if she never spoke. Ethan, Jessica, I thought I saw you upstairs just now, but then you appeared here. What's happening? Jessica, I never went upstairs. I was in the living room. Ethan, this house is taking over us. What are we going to do? Ethan, we need to get out of here, but it's like the house is keeping us trapped. No matter where we go, we end up back here. Jessica, we need to find a solution. If we don't, this house will destroy us. Jessica's friend brings an old spell book and suggests a ritual to banish the evil in the house. During the ritual, the entities in the house become more violent. The walls of the house start to tremble, lights flicker, and doors slam shut. As Jessica tries to finish the ritual, the entities in the house attempt to stop them. At this point, the house is filled with malevolent energy, and the couple's lives are in danger. Jessica, I found the ritual in the book. Maybe this spell can calm the spirit in the house, Ethan. This could be very dangerous, but it seems like we have no other choice. What do we need to do? Jessica, we need to stand in the center of the room and repeat these words. But the warning says if the ritual is interrupted, the evil in the house will grow stronger. As Jessica and Ethan prepare for the ritual in the basement, the tension in the house becomes palpable. The walls of the house begin to moan as if they are alive. When the ritual begins, the lights suddenly go out, and a deep, eerie hum fills the house from every corner. Jessica starts reciting the ritual words in a trembling voice, while Ethan notices that the shadows around them are growing denser. Jessica, I'm scared, Ethan. Can we do this? Ethan, just keep going, Jessica. This might be our only way out of this nightmare. Just as they reach the end of the ritual, the basement door slams open, and a powerful wind swirls through the room. Jessica is about to say the final words when an unseen force knocks her to the ground, and the book falls from her hands. As Ethan rushes to Jessica, shadows emerge from the walls surrounding them. Ethan, Jessica, no, get up. You have to finish the ritual. Jessica, the book. The book is gone. It's too late now. After the ritual fails, the evil in the house grows even stronger. As Ethan and Jessica try to escape, they realize that the dark entities in the house are preventing them from leaving. Doors lock by themselves. Windows refuse to open. The house has now completely taken control and will not allow the couple to leave. Ethan, we need to get out of here, Jessica. But how? Jessica, the doors are closing. The windows won't open. It's like they're trapping us here. Ethan, we can't stay here any longer. Everything is getting worse. As the house's dark forces close in on the couple, they find themselves back in front of the old mirror they discovered in the basement. When they look into the mirror, they see more than just their reflections. They witness visions of Anton reenacting his dark rituals. In these visions, they realize that Anton sacrificed people and trapped their souls in the mirror. Jessica, this mirror might be the source of all the evil. There are trapped souls inside Ethan. Ethan, do we need to break it? Maybe that's how we get out, Jessica. No, if we break this mirror, all the evil might be released. After failing to escape the house, the dark forces within completely consume Jessica and Ethan. Every room in the house holds a different horror for them. One night, Ethan wakes up to find Jessica missing and begins searching for her. He hears Jessica's voice coming from the basement and goes down to find her talking to a dark entity. Ethan, Jessica, what are you doing here? We need to get out of here. Jessica, we can't leave anymore, Ethan. This house won't let us go. We have to accept it. Jessica behaves as if she is under the control of another being, trying to lure Ethan into the basement. But Ethan realizes that this is not the real Jessica. It is an illusion created by the house. The real Jessica is trapped upstairs in their bedroom. As Ethan tries to reach Jessica and save her, he is attacked by the house's dark entities. With one last effort, Ethan reaches Jessica, but they are cornered by a dark entity waiting for them. The entity tells them that it will make them a part of the house and trap their souls forever. Jessica and Ethan realize that escaping the house is now impossible, and the story ends with the dark entity taking full control over them. Jessica, Ethan, forgive me. This house has taken us, Ethan. I'll never leave you, Jessica. But it looks like there's no way out of here. With a final, echoing scream throughout the house, the story comes to an end. The house continues to exist, waiting for its next victims. Stores 2, Lilith's Curse. Lilith arrived at the doorstep of an abandoned, dilapidated house on the outskirts of the village. She placed her hand on the stone walls, closing her eyes as she sensed the dark energy within. This house was perfect for her rituals. She opened the door and stepped inside. The rooms were cold and damp, with dust covering the floors. But for Lilith, this was the ideal opportunity. Lilith, whispering to herself, much suffering will take place in this house, but it will all be part of my power. I'll weave my curse into these walls and draw people inside. Lilith began her rituals at midnight. She placed an old, leather-bound book on the table and lit candles around the room. Her eyes closed, and her lips moved in an ancient language. A dark energy swirled within the room. At the end of the ritual, she placed a black feather in the center of the house, symbolizing the curse. As the curse enveloped the house, strange sounds echoed through the walls. Lilith left the room with a satisfied smile. A week later, the house was purchased by a real estate agent and quickly sold to a small family, John, his wife Sarah, and their 2 young children, Emma and Luke. Excited about their new home, the family moved in unaware of the house's dark history. They noticed the house needed some repairs, but the low price outweighed their concerns. John, to Sarah, a little bit of work, and this place will be beautiful. The kids will have a big yard to play in, Sarah. Yes, it might need a bit of paint, but we'll handle it. We'll make wonderful memories here, but as night fell, the atmosphere in the house changed. Emma began telling her mother about a dark shadow she saw every night. Emma, Mom, something dark comes into my room every night. It has no eyes, but it watches me, Sarah. Worried, but trying to reassure her daughter, it's just a nightmare, sweetheart. Sometimes it's hard to adjust to a new house. But soon, Sarah started hearing strange noises at night as well. While cooking in the kitchen, she felt someone behind her, but when she turned around, no one was there. She would wake up in the middle of the night, swearing she saw a figure in the corner of the room. Sarah, to John, there's something off about this house. I feel like I'm being watched all the time. Maybe we should call a priest. John, laughing, oh Sarah, it's just stress. You always feel like this when we move. We'll get used to it. But as time passed, things got worse. The children were constantly sick. The air in the house became heavy and suffocating. The whispers echoing throughout the night began to drive the family to the brink of madness. Doors slammed on their own, windows shattered suddenly, and a foul smell, like something rotting, filled the house. John and Sarah decided they had to move out, but escaping the curse wouldn't be so easy. After John and Sarah moved out, Elena, a journalist, decided to write a story about the strange occurrences in the house. Elena was known for her articles on paranormal events, and the history of this house piqued her interest. She traveled to the village to investigate and started sifting through old newspaper archives at the library. Elena, to the librarian, I'm looking for any information on this house. Are there any records of strange events in recent years? Librarian, people don't like to talk about that house. Everyone who moved in there in the last few years either got sick or suffered misfortune. But there might be something in the old records. Elena discovered that all the previous residents of the house had met similar fates. In one article, she learned that a woman named Lilith had once lived there, and rumors had spread that the house was cursed because of her. This caught Elena's attention, and she began researching who Lilith really was. Elena decided to follow Lilith's trail, guided by an old diary she found in the basement of the house. The diary belonged to a woman who had lived there before and detailed the dark rituals Lilith performed. Diary, that night, Lilith stood in the center of the room, her hands raised high. Her eyes were closed, and the ancient words she murmured filled the room with darkness. She touched the walls, and from that moment on, the atmosphere in the house changed. Something dark had settled in. I never slept soundly after that night. Elena followed the clues left behind by Lilith. She spoke with the villagers, but most avoided discussing Lilith. However, an elderly woman finally opened up and shared what she knew. Elderly woman, Lilith came to the village years ago. She was a beautiful young woman, but there was something dark within her. After she moved into a house, people started dying. No one knows who she really is, but I do. She's a witch. She casts dark spells and takes control of souls. Elena learned that the curse followed the people who lived in Lilith's houses, even after they moved out. Lilith's power wasn't confined to the house. The curse would pursue its victims for the rest of their lives. Elena decided to use this knowledge to try and stop Lilith. Elena found the house where Lilith was about to move next, but Lilith was expecting her. The house was darker and colder than any before. Blood seeped from the walls, objects floated in the air, and a dark energy surrounded Elena, slowly taking hold of her. Lilith, whispering to Elena, "You've come this far? You will end up like the others. My house will be your grave, Elena." Trying to overcome her fear, "I will stop you, Lilith. I'll break your curse." Elena decided to use a counterspell she had learned from the old book. But with each step she took, Lilith's power grew stronger, focusing on Elena. Lilith tried to completely overpower Elena, but Elena made a final attempt to complete the counterspell. Just when it seemed everything was over, Lilith performed one last ritual to fully take control of the house's spirit. Lilith defeated Elena, trapping her in the house forever. Elena became a part of the house, and Lilith set off to move into another house. Elena's spirit would be the harbinger of the misfortunes to come for the next residents. With each new move, Lilith left behind destruction and death. The story ends with Lilith continuing her curse, searching for a new house to destroy more innocent lives. Lilith, final whisper, no one can stop me. Every house is a new curse. Every victim will become part of my power. Thank you for listening.